You're listening to the Hope Not Nope podcast
with Doc Dylan
and Brandy.
We empower high performers with a 3-part strategy of hope,
Self-agency, goals, and proven frameworks,
so that you can reach your potential
and the highest quality of life. How's it going, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Hope Not Nope podcast. Our episode this week is from a listener named Kelly. Kelly says, I'm an older athlete dealing with a host of symptoms that don't seem to go away. So my mindset has always been to just keep going. I am able to lift more and run faster, but my body still feels sore all the time. Is this just part of aging and training hard, or could it be a sign that something deeper is going on?
I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
Uh-huh.
Shout out to Toby Keith.
Yeah. God rest his soul. What a guy.
So, Kelly, good question. It's a conversation we have a lot with athletes as they are getting older, because that's a fact. All of us are getting older. And the question comes up of I'm more sore now than I was when I was younger. Is it just part of aging? And so we'll take that part first, and then we'll get into those other parts. So partly yes, but not just because of aging on its own, but because generally with aging comes more responsibilities.
Yeah.
When you're younger, oftentimes you don't have all the responsibilities. Your responsibilities are to do your schoolwork, to play, if you're doing a sport, but like you're not thinking of all the other things. Some kids are, right? So this isn't like across the board, but a lot of kids, they're not thinking about food being on the table, bills being paid, what direction a business is going in, family dynamics, all the things that as you are aging that you start to have on your plate. So you're overall dealing with more things. Now, what ends up happening is that as humans, we're going to human, and we're going to go, I'm not going to recognize that I have more stressors. I'm going to keep trying to train the way that I did when I didn't have those stressors. And we see it all the time when working with some athletes that are competing, in their 50s or 60s. They're like, oh man, in college,
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, in college, your life was way different.
Right.
Like the fact that you felt recovered in college, given what you were feeding and drinking, shows like how much responsibilities and stressors matter, because now you're not doing those things and recovery is harder because of the amount of stress that you're taking on throughout a day.
Yeah.
Right. So we have to start recognizing that the body doesn't fully understand physical stress versus emotional stress, all the different things that are within that, relationship stress, food, keep the list going. Stress is stress.
Yeah.
And the body has to then learn how to adapt to that stress. You get older, you have more stressors, which means you have to be better able to adapt, or you have to figure out where can you limit some of these stressors. And oftentimes that's where the conversation goes is we don't need to train the way that you did when you were 20 years old. We have to adapt your training because training is another stressor. And it's one of the most controllable stressors we have during your day, during your week, during your month, during a year. That's where we can start to change the dial a little bit. The stressors with family life, the stressors with children, can you change those a little bit? Sure. Career fulfillment, can you change that a little bit? Yeah, sure. But the most controllable one is how much physical stress are you taking on, and how much do you need to take on in order to reach what your goals are? And oftentimes, because we work with a lot of people that their issue is not that they're not doing enough.
Yeah, we work with people who like strive for high performance, and sometimes there's like almost like a fallacy in that because they're working super high and performing, but then they're like shooting themselves in the foot because they're like burning out. And not all the people we work with, but like we don't work with complacent people.
Yeah, oftentimes we have to draw them in a little bit.
Yeah, pull them back, reel them in.
Hey, like we're gonna change what your training looks like, and your perception is gonna be that you're lazy because your training is no longer 3 hours,
Hmm.
but it's an effective dose that's going to allow you to get gains because we're slingshotting you into recovery by controlling the stressors, by using, we're trimming the fat. We're
Hmm.
getting precise, right? Like we don't need all these other things. Like what do you need to get better? And let's put the focus there. And we can be intense. We can be intense in that time frame. And you're going to get better from that. We're using general adaptation syndrome, which is a well-established principle.
Right.
Like nothing that we're gatekeeping in that. Any book and exercise physiology, any strength and conditioning study
Hmm.
material is going to show general adaptation syndrome that you need the stressor, but then you have to adapt or you have to recover. And then in that, you adapt to that stressor. And now you can take on another level of stressor. If you take on too much stress and you don't recover, well, now we have this issue where the body feels sore all the time because it's taking on too much stress.
Well, you use the language minimal effective dose
Hmm.
sometimes of like going back to you don't need to work out 3 hours every single day. There's a minimum effective dose and it's effective, but it's the minimum of what you need to do in order to be effective. And I think
Yeah.
that sometimes that's hard for people,
Mhm.
but if you can just kind of be open and change your perception of what's necessary, then I think it can be a real game changer and one, help you not feel physically sore. I also just like on a little tangent, I know we kind of dare I say debunk some stuff on the podcast sometimes, but I struggle with this question and then people thinking the solution is, oh, let me just go put like this packet in my water to help
Hmm.
me with my soreness, or
Yeah.
if I take more of this supplement, or if I whatever, it's gonna help me. And it's like it's a lot more simple than that, although like a packet in water is simple, and maybe that's changing your perception, but that's placebo that more than anything else, you know.
Hmm.
But I just think like don't get caught up in like that's not our answer.
Yeah.
Like taking some random thing is not our answer. Our answer is like let's look at the sports science of all this.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many things we could dive in to that, but I will try to refrain a little
Reel
bit,
you in.
reel me
I'll
in,
reel you in.
reel me in. And what I would say is that we've kind of shifted when we look at the general adaptation curve as a society, we've shifted to that recovery side.
Mm,
And it's partly from what we're seeing in pro sports,
hmm.
hyperbaric chambers, like different D1 collegiate recovery rooms, sensory deprivation, like all these things that are like, wow, that's cool. Then we go, oh yeah, I'm lacking on my recovery.
Hmm.
Well, we have to remember again that they're training specifically to be an elite athlete in their sport. And you may be doing that as well, but their schedule, their training calendar, there's much more space for the stressor and there's more time to have those nice things. If you're working a full-time job, raising a family and training, something has to give, right? You don't have an hour and a half every day to do mobility sessions and deep breathing.
Hmm.
Are those things good? Yeah. But do you have the ability to do all that? No. Now it becomes more of a stressor. Now you have more stress, you have more things to recover from. So let's look at the front side of the curve.
Hmm.
What stressors are you taking on, and what stressors do you need to be taking on? And let's start getting specific with what you actually need to train. Uh, Beautiful example of this is talking with an athlete that loved pickleball, like
Hmm.
that was her sport, and I'm going to start swimming to train for that. That's not specific.
No,
You're not playing pickleball in the water, and if you are, you're on a floating platform, which is like really cool.
that's actually really cool.
But like you're not in the
Wait, didn't we
water.
see that
We
somewhere?
did see that in
Florida?
Florida.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. So okay, you're doing that for an hour swim. If you're doing it for a specific goal to train for the sport, well, why don't we get rid of that?
Hmm.
Within 10 minutes, we can do a really good circuit
Hmm.
on the land that's going to get you ready for the movements that are going to happen during pickleball.
Yeah.
Change of direction, cutting with rest breaks in there, right? So there's ways to just hit a minimal effective dose makes you think that it's lazy and you're like you're doing the minimum. And what I would say for the people that are constantly sore, you're way overdoing it
Hmm.
and bringing your volume or your intensity down a little bit. It's not even be close to what a minimal effective dose is.
Yeah.
Like you're still going to be like leaps and bounds ahead of it, but your body's going to have less to recover from, which is going to be beneficial to slingshot you back into train the next day.
I want to echo what you said just to like bring emphasis to it because it's something I've been pondering a lot lately, mainly because like within our social media, I'll see other people's accounts that I want to connect with or things like that. And I've been seeing this like my injury, like I'm injured and I never thought that like what do you mean I'm injured and I can't do the thing that helped me through my stress.
Hmm.
And it's like what people don't realize, I genuinely don't think people realize that working out is a stressor.
Hmm.
Like that is a stressor for your body. And I just want to say that because we're not telling you that you need to like not work out.
Right.
Obviously, like you need to in order for like highest quality of life. But we're saying is you don't need to be an overachiever, 3+ hours a day type of person. It's okay to take a few steps back
Yeah.
if you're feeling so sore all the time.
Right. And if you're leading up to a competition, let's say like an Ironman or a marathon where like you got to log the miles, biking, swimming, running. So it is a long block. Well, after the Ironman, you should have a deload
Mm-hmm.
where it's
Yes.
like, hey, in this season, I'm training like crazy, but I'm going to have an off season. And I think when we get into adulthood, we start forgetting
Mm-hmm.
about an off season. Um, Now there's, like tactical athletes, all that's an interesting like word to use, but they don't have an off season,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that it gets a little bit different with that, but still there should be some cyclical readiness
Mm-hmm.
of prepping for whatever that event is, and then a recovery window where there's less stressors, but still stress. It's not this on off switch of stress. That's one of the craziest things I've seen is like, do you want to just turn stress off? Like, what?
That's so interesting. I've never heard that.
Like, it's not about turning stress off. It's about controlling the dosage of it
Mm-hmm.
that we're taking on that matches the amount or the intensity or volume that we can adapt to
Mm-hmm.
and then or recover to and have better adaptability.
Mm-hmm. I think of like when you're a three-sport athlete
Hmm.
in high school, but the stressors are kind of like different.
Yeah.
But like you still have the summer where you're resting and recovering, and it's not. I say that as the comparison because I think some people could potentially hear what you just said and take it in their head. At least this is where my brain went for a hot second was like, well, isn't that kind of like yo-yo dieting almost? Like, let me diet and then let me get off of it and then let me diet and then let me get off of it and this like back and forth, back and forth. Like, that's not what we're suggesting
Hmm.
in regards to fitness, but we are saying like there is an ebb and flow to it. And I think you use the word like cyclical.
Cyclical readiness.
Like,
Yeah.
I think that that's something that hopefully that's I'm just saying it because hopefully it's a perspective shift for people that
Yeah.
I'm just echoing you.
Yeah. No, and to add on to that, and I will say this because of doing this now for 10 years and high performance,
Yeah.
that if you do not have a window of time that you are not at like redlining it, if you don't slow down intentionally, your body will slow you down
Mm-hmm.
at some point in a much different way that you would want it to.
Yes. Yeah.
Whether it's injury, whether it's autoimmune, whether it's one of these things. But the intentional deload is just being a wise and smart and intentional athlete that's going to keep you a highly competitive athlete longer than other people. So that needs to be done. And I want to give one example in this just to kind of like really nail this point
Yeah.
because
Get
again,
together.
part of it is not necessarily leaning towards more recovery. I need more sauna sessions. I need sensory deprivation tanks. I need to cold plunge. I need to do that. Like you're adding more onto your day. You got to look and see where can I trim some of the stressors that I can recover better. And by doing that, I can feel better. Noting that as we get older, we have more stressors in the day, which means we have more to recover from and more to adapt to. So we have to control some of these stressors that we can. One is physical training. So I know some programs, I'll speak to college, that use German squat volume training. And if you haven't heard of that before, it's basically back squats, 10 sets, 10 reps, somewhere near 60 to 65% of your one rep max. It's a lot of squats. It's a lot of squats. And there's a certain amount of rest period, but you do this repetitively, right? And part of it is like mentally, can you get through it? Okay, cool. Like some point you got to get mentally just checked
Mm-hmm.
to see like, can you deal with strain? Can you deal with the feeling of this just sucks, but I can keep going? Like,
Mm-hmm.
got it. That's part of it, right? But if we're looking at using it for true gains, like hypertrophy or strength gains, the research shows that you don't need more than 5 to 6 sets. And you could use even less of that, straining a bit more and get more of a benefit out of it. After that fifth or sixth set, depending on what your buildup sets were to that working weight, you have to work exponentially harder to get virtually no other benefit than what you've already gotten. So when we look at athletes, like, yeah, you may have played college football and done a German squat volume type program.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're doing powerlifting and you're in your 50s. You don't need to do a 10 by 10.
Yeah.
There are other
It just
ways
sounds horrible.
for you to get the benefit based on your programming reflecting
Mm-hmm.
precision versus just throwing volume on top of it. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the biggest thing I see when we start working with athletes and they've transferred over from other therapists or other coaches or what have it, that it's just people just attack it with volume. You
Yeah.
want to get better, more volume. Like you want to get faster, more volume. Well, after 200 to 300 yards, your sprint efforts they're barely sprinting
Yeah.
anymore. Like you're conditioning, but you're not sprinting. So if your goal is to get faster, let's limit the yardage and hit the intensity. If your goal is for conditioning, okay, cool. Then let's lean towards that way.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't look at both these and say, hey, we're going to get more condition and we're going to get faster all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, get precise with what the actual goal is and then train to that goal, hit the benefit, boom, recover, come back, let's go.
Yeah, I think literally that's like the theme of this entire episode. Like we explained it very, very long, but what it comes down to is higher volume is not everything.
Yeah.
And if you want to overcome this, like what sounds like a chronic soreness that you're feeling, I would, I don't want to say guarantee, but because I'm not a doctor, I kind of can. So, like, I would almost guarantee that your volume is too high.
Mhm.
And whatever you're doing, you need to pull back.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe there's other dials that you can change. Just saying from working with athletes with busy schedules that there's really not many.
Yeah.
Like people make it sound like, oh yeah, no, like no, get a better schedule,
Hmm.
like with the kids, and
And
they're
like,
like, I can't predict when my kid's gonna be sick. I
yeah,
can't, so there's we got to control the things that we can actually.
right. And Kelly said that they're like an older athlete. So even if you're like retired per se, and maybe you don't have all these stressors in the sense of like you're retired, kids are out of the house, all those things, that's great. I would think that you might have higher volume because this might be your big hobby.
Yeah.
And it's like, find another hobby.
Yeah.
Don't get rid of this one completely, but see if there's another hobby that can take up your time because maybe you're just filling up your time because you have time again.
Right.
I don't know Kelly's specific example, but it's just a thought that I had.
Yeah. And tailing off of that, again, this is not all the time,
Hmm.
right? But generally, as you get older and you retire, you have more time
Hmm.
to yourself. Like, so your stressors in that sense are kind of your day-to-day stressors might be a little bit less as far as responsibilities of needing to be at a job. Like, hopefully you're taking care of a lot of bills, so that's a less stressor.
Hmm.
Hopefully your kids are out of the house and flourishing with a family, and that they're set up for success from your awesome parenting. And it's like, okay, cool, like taken care of. Um, but then there's the older that you get, that the more friends pass, the
Hmm.
more family members pass. Like there's more life traumas that are
Yeah.
coming. Again, not all the time, but generally. And we have to remember like that's a stressor.
Hmm.
That's a big stressor. And physically training to help cope with that can be of a benefit. But when that is your only coping mechanism, well, we're going to start to get into some issues.
Hmm.
I always ask athletes, are you training for something or are you training from something?
Hmm.
And the approach to those two things are going to be different. where one and like cool, the other one, hey, we got to work on some different coping mechanisms. Like we're still going to use this one, but we got to start developing some other things in your practice.
Yeah. You're so great. That's such a great perspective, and you're so kind to add that in to this episode.
Oh, it's good to be kind.
Yeah, it's good to be kind.
Hope story time.
Sure. Do you have one?
Oh, I'd love to share one. I also want to add into this. If you're not doing anything, you probably need to do more.
Fair.
If you're, because you can be sore from not doing anything.
Yes.
So like, you know where you're at.
Yeah.
We'll just say that.
Yeah.
We'll just say if you feel like you're doing too much, you're probably doing too much. You need to dial it down. If you're not doing anything, you know you're not doing anything. And come on, get
Yeah.
going.
Might need to dial it up.
Take that little step, whatever that little step is for you. So, yeah. Hope story. So, if you've been a longtime listener of the podcast, thank you.
Thank you.
Secondly, you know that in the past couple of years, we've moved locations, what, 3 times?
Yeah.
This is our third.
Yeah. Although when our move in between, like our previous move, we did do an episode in a different location within the house that we were at previously. So we had like 2 studios. Like we've had a few different studios, but 3 main ones.
Yeah.
This is our third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving's a stressor, adding that in.
Uh-huh.
But we're now in our place and we have a beautiful lake view, a small lake that we're on, and it's starting to get nice. So it's like, hey, we got to get some water toys to like get in this thing. Found a great deal on kayaks.
Yeah.
And
Kayak.
a big Facebook marketplace.
100%.
So find these kayaks. We have an SUV. The kayak's 12 foot long, 9 foot long. Didn't think about that going. I was like, we're just going to bring a bunch of ropes, tie these things down.
Wouldn't be the first time we got something
We
massive.
got 6 feet of yak hanging out of the back of the car. We get these things home. We got to take them out yesterday. We took them out for the first time on the lake. And we're going, we're cruising, we're having fun, enjoying the sun. This fish jumps out of the water.
Yeah.
And not exaggerating, it was like 4 feet long. This thing looked prehistoric.
Yeah.
It looked like it had whiskers, and you're like, oh, it was a catfish. I don't think it was a catfish. I don't know what kind of fish it was, but I do know that there's eagles and there's hawks and there's falcons.
And we saw all of those.
And we saw all of them, and none of them were diving for this fish.
No.
They saw the size of this thing, and they're like, But one, it was awesome to just be out there yakking away.
Yakety yak.
2, seeing the fish jump out was like,
yeah,
whoa. Like that thing jumped in the kayak, I think we would have went under.
Yeah. It really wasn't. It was probably like, what, 20 feet away from us?
Yeah.
Maybe a little more, but it wasn't that far away when it jumped. And luckily we were both facing in the same direction and saw it happen.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That was crazy. And like, again, we got to see an eagle, we got to see a heron, got to see falcon, like all these other animals too. It's cool to be immersed in nature, especially in the spring and summertime.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. And to the point, to wrap it back into the episode, it's like that was our recovery workout. But come to find out, if you go too fast or too long, you actually don't recover. You get more sore the next day, because although something is labeled as recovery, if you go too hard, it's no longer
like
recovery.
The first time doing that movement,
right?
A very long time, but yeah.
So careful with what things you may think are recovery, because it depends on how you utilize it and how you go at it. That will help it be recovery or not recovery.
Yes.
Like going a cold plunge too long, that's no longer recovery.
Nope.
That is a huge stressor that you're fighting.
That would be a stressor to even think about.
Yes.
Ouch.
Yes. But thank you for listening. Kelly, thank you for that question. Hopefully it was helpful. Just look at your program and just look like, do I need to be doing all the stuff that is in here? Or can I start to limit some of these things? That in turn will help with the recovery, because you have less stress in your day just by looking at it and saying, what do I actually need to perform as a high level athlete for whatever that is for you?
Yeah.
Good. Have a great week. And remember, high performance isn't just about using the strategy of hope. It's about becoming hope.
Thank you for listening to the Hope Not Nope podcast. Please subscribe and share this episode. This podcast is for educational and personal development purposes only and is not considered health or medical advice. For personalized support, connect with a Hope Coach at hopenotnope.org.